In order to define a roadmap, we need to prioritize the project's features. But what exactly is the features in software development? Thanks to agile methodology, the best way to describe the features is to use this sentence. As a user A, I can do something so that I receive some benefits. What is important to keep in mind is that a features should not exceed 1 week of development. If you have in mind bigger features, just try to split them in several sub-features. Having your entire product well described by a feature list is the first requirement before you meet with a provider or any developer. Now that we know how to describe the features, let's see how much does it cost to develop a feature. The simplest way to evaluate this type of costs is to look at the work that needs to get done in order to actually develop a feature, and to separate that work in few categories. First, the user experience or user interface, then integration, application development, database, and data management, which is kind of optional. We're going to see that in a minute. Let's see graphic design. Graphic design can cost from 0 to million, but a good standard that for a startup would be to consider $200 to $300 per screen. By screen, I mean how many screen you will have in your mobile application or on your web platform. Then for integration, which is the conversion from an image to an HTML CSS. This work, HTML CSS, by the way, is the language used by all the browsers across the web. Basically, this work can be done by the developer or by the designer. It depends. And we need to consider about $100 per screen. Now, for the application and the database, it's generally 1 work of day for a developer, which is approximately between $400 to $600, depending on where you are. It can, of course, be less if you use outsourcing. And finally, for data management, the data management can be very, very expensive or very, very cheap. It depends on what you need to do. As example, if you need a simple API like mailing or payment services, in that case, that can just take half of the day for your developer to integrate these features. However, it can take several days if there are many objects to configure. For example, a video conference API like Twilio might take up to 5 days for your developers to integrate these features, especially if you want to use the recording system as well. And if you use some artificial intelligence or others very complex solution, it might take even more time to integrate existing API or to develop your own algorithm. So to summarize, the first 4 categories are quite simple, as they can be proportional to the number of screens that you want to develop. For the data management part, it's more like reusing existing algorithm or external API services. Depending on the complexity of the data that you want to process, the extra cost might go from 0 to maybe few thousands. For example, between 10K to 50K to develop the first algorithm of an artificial intelligence algorithm. Now, you should have a general understanding of the feature costs. And what is important, and the exercise I invite you to do, is to go through and to prioritize all your feature lists to define how complex it is to develop a features. And remember, let's put this sentence all the time to describe it. As a user A, I can do something so that, and I get the benefits. Okay, what I recommend you to do is to create a spreadsheet or use the one that is included to this course and to describe how complex it is to create features. Like this one, for the first features, it's pretty hard. Like for the other ones, it might be more easy to do it. Let's get to our spreadsheet and it's going to be more clear. So if we see the template I provide you, you can here define a section which I call also a component. Then here in the what can be a simple word that describe for you what you think is the features. And that's basically all the features I thought when I first launched my CTO frame. So basically ideation, defining the product or service, which is actually one of the courses that we are on it right now. Every topic that might be interesting to develop. So here, put all your features that you want to develop and describe them as a story. Story is the key word when we talk about agile methodology. So here, I describe as example, as a founder, I can generate more idea so that it generates more business, and so on and so forth. And then here, put the workload of each features. If it's something very complex, you put the figure 1. If it's pretty easy, you put the figure 10. And it's going to help us to prioritize our features later on. Okay, now it's your turn to define your feature list, evaluate the cost of each feature, and then prioritize all your features with this rank from 1 to 10. That's your turn.